Hey, fourth graders, welcome to language. We're on pages 13 and 14 today. We're going to go over these interesting sentences, and you will submit pages 15 and 16 once you complete it. So let's begin going over page 13. So, talking about interesting sentences. Some sentences you can get a big picture or an idea of what people are talking about. And those are pretty good sentences, interesting sentences or detailed sentences. If you look at the example in the blue box, it says, "My dog is fun." Well, in that sentence, can you see how the dog is fun? Not really, it doesn't tell, right? Or, "Dad worked hard." Can you see how Dad worked hard? What did he do to work hard? How was he working hard? "My little brother is smart." What makes your brother smart, right? We have no details. We just have basic, simple sentences without any interesting facts with them. So today we're going to learn how to take a sentence and make it more interesting. Put a little bit of detail in it so that we'll know what makes what's happening fit its description. So for example, the garden was very pretty. Well, by just this sentence, can you imagine what made that garden pretty? Not really. It's just a sentence that says it was pretty. We just don't know how. So I'm going to show you a way to take basically your nouns and some of your adjectives and kind of add on to them to make sure that we have a good description of what makes it so. All right, so continuing further down in the box before we move on to the example, it says, notice how much more interesting the sentence is when we can show the reader what it means. So the first sentence was, "My dog is fun." The second sentence says, "My puppy likes to catch a rubber ball with his teeth." Well, so now we know that the dog is a puppy, right? So we know what kind of dog. When we just say dog, we don't know if it's a big dog, a little dog, medium-sized dog, fluffy dog, furry dog. We don't really know. But here it tells us it's a puppy. Sure, we don't know what kind of puppy, but we know that it's small because it's a puppy, right? Okay, so, and then what makes the dog fun? He likes to catch rubber balls with his teeth. That's the fun of it, okay? So, the second one, Dad worked hard. Yesterday afternoon, Dad mowed the lawn, he washed the car, and he cleaned the windows on our house. We can really see how Dad was working hard. All the things Dad did that describes what that hard work was. And then finally, my little brother is smart. My 3-year-old brother knows the alphabet and can count to 20. So now we're not thinking, well, a little brother at 13 years old, you would say he can, say his alphabets. Well, at 13, they should rightfully so. But here we're talking about a little brother that is 3 years old. Okay, so we know an age difference. We know that he's a little boy. And so how is he smart? A 3-year-old knowing their alphabets and can count to 20 is pretty smart, right? Very good. So back to our example on the board. So it says the garden was very pretty. First off, let's start with the word garden, okay? Take that word and give me a description of a garden, some adjectives. I know we haven't gotten quite to adjectives just yet, but something that will tell me about a garden. The beautiful garden, right? The backyard garden will tell where. The garden at the neighbor's house, right? The garden in the park. Maybe there's a garden in the park, who knows, right? But it will tell us something about this garden, right? Okay. Was very pretty. Now, what is pretty to you? Define pretty. What made it pretty? Was there flowers, particular kinds of flowers, colorful flowers? Tell me something about how or why is it pretty? Okay, so let's rewrite the sentence. So, the garden in the park, so we know which garden we're talking about, was very pretty with lots of colorful flowers. So now we know what made the garden pretty. It was the colorful flowers that made it pretty. What garden are we talking about? We could have said the beautiful garden, right? We could add an adjective here. The beautiful garden in the park was very pretty with lots of colorful flowers. So now you can imagine, you can picture what made the garden pretty, okay? So that's kind of what you're going to do with number 2 and number 3 on page 13. And so page 14 is making your sentences informative. Remember, and in your writing for this week, I will be counting these types of grammatical errors or grammatical marks in my grading. Remember, when you turn in your writing for the first couple of weeks, I put a few marks on your paper. Notice if I did this pretty little thing, it meant that you forgot to indent, right? This means you need to indent, okay? If I said insert a period, I might have circled the period so you could see what I was talking about, and the insert. So this is insert period, right? If I circled a word, if you just saw me circle a word, it just meant that the word was misspelled, okay? You had a misspelled word. What are a few other things? If you saw me do something like this, that means I need more information. So this was incomplete. So I need you to write a little bit more. If you see me put an arrow down at the end of your paper, it means to write a little bit more. So here on page 14, it talks about the sentences. Remember, we said a sentence is a group of words that expresses a complete thought. The rule is that it begins with a capital letter and it ends with a punctuation mark. So for your next set of writing, I will be looking for capitalization of the first word in your sentence and a period where your sentence should stop. So for every one that you miss, it is points. So please make sure in your writing for this week that you cover those 2 items, capitalization for sentences and punctuation marks. Those are the 2 things I'll be taking points off for writing for this week. All right, so number 4 says a sentence may be long or it may be short. Remember, in 4th grade, you should begin to write longer, more informative sentences, more details, not just the garden was very pretty. We're in the 4th grade. We want a little bit more details, a little bit more interesting sentences, okay? All right, so for Think A, you're going to circle which of the sentences or which of the group of words that is actually a sentence, okay? Circle the letter of each group of words that is a sentence, okay? And then write B, it says to rewrite the sentences and make them more informative, add more details, like what we did here, okay? So that's Think A and write B. Don't worry about write C on today. We're gonna go ahead and move on. Pages 15 and 16 are for you to turn in. I'll put a link for you on Google Classroom so that you could submit those 2 pages as one assignment. Okay, so pages 15 and 16 will be due on Friday. If you have any questions, guys, let me know.